Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Together We Shine. Our practice today is sequenced around the bhavana, anchor to what is real. And where that bhavana came from is this need that we have as yoga practitioners to discover who and what we truly are, so that we can anchor into that, root into that, in order to gradually release all that we are not. Before we can start to release the self-identities that no longer fit or suit who we are becoming, we need to have something else that we can anchor and root into so that we don't become completely destabilized. So this is an opportunity for us to dig in a little bit more deeply, drop the anchor, if you will, a little more deeply toward the surface of the ocean, to be able to connect to something that is unchanging and ever true. So that's where we're going on a metaphysical level. On a physical level, what we're going to work with are the parts of the physical body that give us a sense of groundedness. And that will be the legs, but maybe even more specifically, the pelvis, the lower back, and the region of the belly. So we're going to be doing a lot to open up and create space, but also to really stabilize through those parts of the body so that we feel connected, we feel grounded, we feel rooted, and we feel anchored. One more subtle element to just bring into your purview: the chakras and the elements that are associated with them. So just a reminder, when we're working with Muladhara chakra, which is located more or less at the base of the pelvis, perineum, we're working with the earth element. And when we think about rooting, even anchoring conjures up imagery of the sea, but what is the anchor actually dropping into? It's the ocean floor, which again is the earth. So when we're wanting to anchor, when we're wanting to root, then we really want to dig into the earth element. And we don't want the earth to be too rocky. We don't want it to be too soggy. We don't want it to be too sandy or dry. We want it to be rich and fertile so that we can root deeply and be nourished as we do. If you think about the other elements, there is inevitably a degree of change associated with them. Water is fluid and constantly moving. Fire is also very mobile. Air, and then we get to ether, which is not necessarily movement, but there's nothing to hold on to. It's just spaciousness. So if we're wanting to anchor to what is real, we want to drop into the root chakra, Muladhara, and to stabilize there, but not to become rigid, to become strong and supple. Okay. Let's begin on our mats in Makarasana. So on your belly, with your arms crossed more or less in front of you like so, forehead resting on the backs of the hands or wrists or forearms, legs extended out behind you. And before you completely settle into Makarasana, take a moment to just stretch into the abdomen and try to create as much space as possible between the rib cage and the pelvis. And one last thing I want to mention before we go into the practice is that much of this is directly inspired by one of my favorite teachers, Sandy Anderson. So I have to give credit where credit is due, and much of this is coming from her and the practices that I got to enjoy with her in Khajuraho. All right, to your crocodile, Makarasana. We know that Makarasana is excellent for helping us to connect more to our breath, but it also has a very grounding and rooting quality to it. So enjoy both of those benefits. Once you've settled into this posture, invite the body to become a little heavier, more stable, more steady. Feel the weight of the pelvis resting nice and heavy on the earth, the weight of the legs, the soft suppleness of the belly, a little bit of a lift of the rib cage to help keep the rib cage relatively still. But then even the head becomes somewhat heavy, resting on the hands or the arms. Invoke an overall stillness that allows for more awareness of that subtle movement of the breath. As the diaphragm descends from the lowest ribs in the direction of the pelvis, and then ascends back upward to its home base, nestled in the ribs. We're here for about 1 more minute. For 3 more breaths, anchor the mind in the very real experience of the breath as it comes and goes in a smooth and balanced rhythm. Begin to transition now to the hands and knees, a tabletop position. Reconnect to the breath, smooth, steady, samadhi, balanced inhale and exhale. And once again, feel into the movement of the diaphragm. Few rounds of cow and cat. Inhale to draw the collarbones forward. Let the belly drop. Lift the crown and the tail. On the exhale, reverse that, rounding the spine, pushing the earth down and away, scooping up through the belly and tucking the chin. Inhale, open up. Wrap the triceps back if you can. Pull the collarbones and sternum through. Float the crown and tail toward the sky. And exhale, reverse, round, hugging up and in through the navel center, and maybe also lifting the pelvic floor. 2 more times, nice and easy, soften to open. And with exhale, draw upward and inward as you push the earth away, squeeze gently through the belly and lift the pelvic floor. Once more. And then back to a neutral tabletop. And start to take the pelvis around in some small circles, just exploring this range of motion. And resolve to keep the breath flowing smoothly and steadily. Switch directions when you're ready. Back through to the center. And then just bring the head and the tailbone over to the right, stretching into the left side of the body. Gently switch to the other side. So just opening up through the side body, through the neck, maybe a little bit through the shoulders. Nice and easy, swinging from side to side. Coming back through to neutral, we'll move into Chakravakasana, regular old Chakravakasana for the first 2 rounds. Inhaling with a long spine. Exhaling to draw the hips back toward child's pose, but bending the elbows, lowering forearms and forehead to the mat. Inhale back up through to the center. And exhale again, down and back. Inhale back up through to the center. Exhale here. Now draw the hips down and back toward child's pose and scoop the belly up and in. Release the belly, inhale, and come back to the hands and knees. Exhale here. Holding the breath out, draw back, scoop up through the pelvic floor, squeeze through the belly, lowering. Release the belly and inhale to rise. Exhale here. Draw down and back, holding the breath out, bringing a little bit more awareness into the belly and pelvis. Inhale and rise. Last time, exhale. Draw down and back. And inhale, rise. On the exhale, sit back on the heels, rest the hands on the knees of the thighs, and just notice. And from here, let's come back to the hands and the knees. We'll move through downward facing dog dynamically a few times. Inhale. And on exhale, float the hips up and back. As you do, again, think about scooping up through the belly. Inhale and lower the knees. Exhale, float the hips up and back. Inhale, lower the knees. This time, exhale here. Hold the breath out, float the hips up and back. Release the belly, then inhale and lower the knees. Exhale here. Holding the breath out, down dog, suctioning the belly toward the spine. Release the belly, inhale, lower the knees. Exhale here. Hold the breath out, down dog. Release the belly, inhale, lower the knees. Exhale here. And again, down dog, holding the breath out. Release the belly, inhale and stay in down dog. Go ahead and pedal the feet a few times. Find stillness for a breath or two. Inhale, lower the knees. Hinge forward and exhale, come onto the belly. Stretch the legs out nice and long behind you. Roll the pinky toenails onto the mat and try to have the big toes touching. Think about rolling your inner thighs up toward the sky. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Hug the triceps in. Pull your sternum and your collarbones forward slightly, and then rest the forehead on the mat. Keep pressing down through the feet, firm the thighs, and also try to press down through the pubic bone and pelvic bones. On the next inhale, just lift into cobra, using the muscles in the back body, stabilizing through the pelvis. On exhale, lower and bring one cheek to the mat. Inhale again to cobra, looking forward. Exhale, lower, opposite cheek to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Try to lift the hands off the mat. Exhale, lower, first cheek down. Inhale, cobra, lifting the hands. Exhale, lower, second cheek down. Inhale, back to your cobra. On the exhale, bring the hands behind you. If you can, interlace the fingers. If not, just try to stack the palms. Roll the shoulder blades back. Pull the arms and triceps up away from the back body. And then use the shoulder blades to help press the sternum forward and the spine a bit further in toward the center of the body. Press down through the right foot. Inhale, float your left inner thigh up. Exhale, lower. Press down through the left foot. Inhale, float the right inner thigh to the sky. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left inner thigh floats up. Exhale, lower. Root down through the left leg and inhale, lift through the right. Exhale, lower. Just once, inhale, lift both legs. Exhale, release. Bring one cheek to the mat, arms alongside the body, palms facing the sky, if that's okay in your body, and just breathe. Anchor to what is real. right here, right now. Switch to the other cheek for a few more breaths. Good. Bring the forehead to the center and the palms underneath the shoulders. Inhale, lift back up to the hands and the knees. And exhale, draw back once more to child's pose. Soften here and enjoy a few breaths. Slide the hands back and lift up so that you're sitting on your shins. Let's bring the hands behind the back, stacking the palms one on top of the other. On an inhale, lift up onto the shins and sweep the arms up alongside the ears. Draw the sits bones to the ground and the collarbones toward the sky. On an exhale, sweep the arms down and back, hinge at the hips, fold with a long back, flat as possible until the last minute, lowering the forehead to the mat. Inhale, rise again, sweep the arms forward and up. Anchor through the sits bones, float the collarbones. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise. If your low back can handle this, on exhale, just bring the left arm back. Keep the right arm glued to the right ear. Lower and see if it's possible to not let the hand touch down. Inhale, rise, sweeping both arms up. Switching this time. Exhale, sweep the right arm down and back. Hinge at the hips. Fold forward, letting the chest and the head touch, but not the hand. Inhale, rise. Once more, exhale, left arm sweeps back, hinge to fold. Inhale, left arm sweeps up. Exhale, right arm sweeps back. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, sit on the heels, keep the spine long. Take a moment just to notice. Return to the hands and knees. Take an inhale. Tuck the toes. Exhale, return to downward facing dog. Root down through the left foot and on an inhale, float the right leg up. Let the hip open. Exhale, bend both knees pretty generously. Inhale, stretch both legs as straight as they'll go. Exhale again, bend both knees. Inhale, stretch both legs straight. And on an exhale, bend the right knee and draw your right knee toward your right armpit. Inhale, extend the leg up and back again. And exhale, draw your right knee toward your left armpit. Don't let your shoulders crowd your ears. Inhale, reach up and back. Once more to each side. Exhale, right knee, right armpit. Inhale, reach up and back. Exhale, right knee, left armpit. Inhale, reach up and back. Exhale, flex the foot. Maybe lift onto your fingertips. And then step the right foot through. See if it's possible to keep the legs straight. And then come into a lunge, lower the left knee to the ground. Stay here, nice and soft. And breathe. Now moving between this low lunge and Ardha Hanumanasana a few times, half split. Inhaling here. Exhaling to shift the hips back, lift the toes, and fold a bit more deeply in. Inhale, rebend the knee, draw forward. And exhale, draw back. 2 more times, dynamically. And then we'll stay in this half split forward fold. Hands might want to be on blocks or on fingertips. Press down through the right heel and try to draw your right hip back a little bit. With each inhale, think about drawing the collarbones a little further forward. And with each exhale, sinking the spine further into the body toward the sternum. Keep the back of the neck long. Bring your awareness to the points of contact between the body and the earth, as though you could grow roots through those contact points. Rooting, anchoring to what is real. One more breath here. And then rebend the front knee. Either keep the hands as they are, or maybe bring your hands onto your right thigh. Let the pelvis get a little bit heavier. You can stay upright like this, or maybe reach the left arm up, and the right arm can come behind the back just to keep the lower back as stable as possible. Open up through the left side body. Enjoy about 3 breaths here. On your next exhale, bring your left hand down to the ground or onto a block. Right hand can stay where it is or come onto the right knee or thigh. Inhale here for a little bit more space in the spine. And on an exhale, begin to move into a twist, rotating the rib cage to the right. And think about drawing your right inner thigh and the left side of the rib cage a little bit closer toward one another. And then try to create more and more length in the back body. So we're not curving anywhere. We're trying to create some flat lines, even as we're twisting. Just one more breath. Release the twist, frame that front foot, tuck the back toes, and straighten the leg. On an inhale, let's sweep the right leg up and back. Reach through the heel this time, keeping the hips relatively square. And on an exhale, bring your right knee and shin to the mat. Swing your right toes toward the right side of the mat. Lower your left heel. You're stacking the left side body on top of the right, but we're trying to create a really solid foundation. So shoulder over wrist, hip over knee. This left leg, the long leg, becomes really important as well. It's not just hanging out here. Spread the toes and try to root down through the pinky toe side of that left foot so the whole leg becomes quite active. And then extend the left arm up, pushing the earth away at the same time you're rooting into it, but creating space as well as strength. Inhale, extend the left arm. On an exhale, as you bring the arm back, contract slightly through the abdominal region, through the oblique muscles in particular. Inhale, extend the left arm. Exhale, swing the arm back, a little contraction, engagement of the obliques, side body muscles. Inhale, stretch. Keep the left leg and foot active. Exhale, sweep back. Once more. Inhale. And this time on exhale, bring the arm directly up. Stabilize through the belly and try to lift the left leg. For 3, 2, little internal rotation of that left leg. One more inhale. Exhale, float the foot down, bring the hand down, return to the hands and knees. Give yourself an in-breath here. And on the out-breath, back to down. Take a moment. Let's get off the hands for a moment. Walk the hands back toward the feet. Bend the knees as much as you want or need. Even if you don't need to bend the knees, do for now. Try to keep the thighs parallel to one another and maybe reach the arms out as far as you can, almost like you're still stretching into downward facing dog, but all the weight, or at least 95% of the weight, is in your feet and legs. And the arms are just reaching to create a little bit more extension through the spine and back body. Breathing here for 3. 2. 1 more breath. Good. Slide the hands back. Just release for a moment. Root down through both feet. On the inhale, sweep the arms out to the sides, bend the knees, root into the ground, and then straighten the legs and rise, reaching for the sky. Exhale, float the arms down by your sides. Find Tadasana. Feel the stability of this posture, the steadiness. Making our way back down to earth, inhale, find Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, fold over the legs, let the legs gradually go towards straight. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, walk the hands to downward facing dog. And exhale, settle in. Rooting down through the right foot now. Inhale, float the left leg up, let the hip swing open. Exhale, bend both knees generously. Feel your strength. Inhale, straighten both legs. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, left knee, left armpit. Inhale, reach up and back. Exhale, left knee, right armpit. Inhale, reach up and back. Once more to each side. Exhale, left knee, left armpit. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, left knee, right armpit. Inhale, reach up and back. On the exhale, flex the foot, maybe lift onto your fingertips and try to slide the leg forward and come into a little lunge. Release the right knee to the ground. Just linger here a moment. Keeping the gaze and the mind oriented toward the earth, to what feels solid and stable, steady, and real. Good. Dynamically in and out of Ardha Hanumanasana. Inhaling here, maybe draw the collarbones a little further forward. Exhale, draw the hips back, lift the left toes, fold a little bit more deeply in. Inhale, bend the knee, come back into that lower lunge. And exhale, draw back. 2 more times dynamically, and then we'll stay for a few breaths. But lingering here, see if you can square off through the pelvis, drawing the collarbones a little further forward, rooting down through the left heel. With each inhale, the spine becomes longer. And with each exhale, the spine sinks further into the body. So it's less about bringing your sternum closer to your knee and more about bringing your spine closer to your sternum, which may or may not be entirely possible, but you get the idea. It's at least a little possible. Internalize the spine instead of letting it gravitate toward the outer back body. Just a few more breaths. Okay. Inhale to rebend the knee, coming back into that lunge. And then feel free to stay as you are, or maybe lift one or both hands onto the left thigh. Still trying to square through the hips. You can stay like this if you want the added support, or maybe bring your left hand to your sacrum and stretch the right arm up toward the sky. Opening up through the right side body, breathing here for about 3 breaths. On the next exhale, release the right hand down to the ground. Left hand can stay where it is, or maybe bring it onto your left thigh. Inhale for a little more space in the spine. And exhale, twisting to the left. Again, think about squaring the hips and drawing your right rib cage and left inner thigh a little closer toward one another. Then try to create more length and more flatness to the back body, even as we twist. Release the twist, framing the front foot, tucking the back toes, and straightening the back leg. Inhale, sweep the left leg up and back. Try to keep the pelvis level this time as you float the heel toward the sky. And then on an exhale, we're going to stack the body again. So lowering your left knee and shin, swinging the toes back a bit, rolling your right heel down, spreading the right toes and trying to root into the outer edge of the right foot. Stack your left shoulder more or less over your left wrist, and then extend the right arm up toward the sky. Find your stability here first and foremost, especially through the right leg. Let it be fully active, fully aligned. Inhale, reach the right arm up and over, stretching into the side body. And on exhale, as you sweep the arm back, engage the musculature in the side body, squeezing through the obliques. Again, inhale, stretch up and over. And exhale, sweep back. Inhale, stretch up and over. And exhale, sweep back. We'll do one more. Inhale, stretch the arm. This time on exhale, reach the arm straight up toward the sky. Activate the obliques again. Stabilize through the pelvis and float your right leg upward. Keep the foot flexed with a little internal rotation. So think about the big toe dropping as the heel lifts for 3, 2, 1. Good. Lower the leg. Reach the arm up and over. Bring it down as well. Come to the hands and the knees. Take an inhale. And exhale once again to downward facing dog. Let's walk the hands to the feet. Again, soften the knees. Drape the torso over the thighs. Release the weight of the shoulders and the head. Breathe. Bend the knees a bit more generously. On an inhale, sweep the arms straight out to the sides. Sink the sits bones as you lift the torso and reach the arms up, and then press into the feet to straighten the legs, lifting toward the sky. Exhale, arms down by your sides. Again, just be here, notice. Plug in, anchor to, root into that which is real. What is real in the physical world, and what is real in you. Coming back once again to those innate qualities. Anchoring to those qualities so you can loosen your grip on the acquired ones. The man-made identities. anchor to the part of the self that was created by the divine. Just a tiny bit of standing for us. You can face the long edge of the mat and bring the feet fairly wide, super wide, like halfway toward a wide leg stance, whatever that means. We're going to come into a shorter stanced Trikonasana, triangle. I want to remind you that Trikonasana, triangle, is very specifically working with straight lines and angles. Okay? If it weren't supposed to, it wouldn't be called that. Let's roll the right toes open and angle the left toes in slightly. So we're less than a 90-degree angle, more like 80 or so. This is just going to give a little bit more freedom and stability to the pelvis and allow you to access the strength here rather than hypermobilizing through the outside of the hips. Root down through both feet, spread the toes, root down, but then also lift up, lift through the arches, lift through the inner thighs. Let's bring the back of the left hand onto the sacrum and the palm of the right hand onto the low belly. Remind yourself that this is where we want to anchor. This is where we want to feel stable and steady. Inhale and just get a little bit taller. And on the exhale, begin to hinge subtly to the side. Look over the left shoulder. And then inhale to come upright. Exhale, hinge. Make sure you're not locking any joints. And inhale, upright. Move in and out 3 or 4 more times at your own pace. Honor the angles and the lines. Resist the temptation to collapse in because you think that it means you're going further in the posture. Be where you are. When you find your furthest point for today, stay active, and stay with the breath. If you want the hands to be placed elsewhere at any point, experiment and see what your body is asking for, what it's going to respond well to. One more full breath. Inhale to rise. Bring the feet back to parallel. Exhale, release the arms. Give yourself a moment. And we'll go to the other side. So swing the left toes open and again find less than 90 degrees. So right toes are going to angle in a little bit as well. This is for the health of the pelvis and the hips. Spread the toes, root down, and lift up. Back of the right hand on the sacrum. And what that's doing, if you try the other way around, you'll notice that this shoulder shoves forward. But if you're placing the back of the hand on the sacrum, that actually rolls the shoulder back. And then you can pull the shoulder blade in a little bit. And that'll also make it possible, more possible, for you to stay open this direction. And then left hand, on the belly. Inhale, get a little bit taller. Exhale, maintaining your lines and angles, start to hinge and look over your right shoulder. Inhale to lift upright. Exhale to hinge. You're going to move dynamically in and out at your own pace. 3 or 4 more times. Just exploring what's possible while maintaining integrity. And then when you find where you feel called to be for a few breaths, stay active, stay connected to the breath, and stay in integrity. You're welcome to explore some options with the arms. One more full breath. Rise on an inhale. Exhale, bring the feet parallel, release the arms. Take a moment. Either stack your palms on your sacrum or maybe go a little bit further and cross your forearms, holding onto your elbows. Root down through both feet to keep a softness in the knees. Inhale, lift a little taller. On the exhale, bend the knees as much as you need to keep your back flat for as long as possible as you lower. Keep the arms where they are for a little bit to just open up a bit more through the back body. Release the arms and let them slide down the backs of the legs. Bring the hands onto the floor in front of you. Again, bend the knees as much as you need to so that you can put your hands on the floor or onto blocks. Inhale, press down through the hands to lift halfway. And exhale, bend the elbows to lower. Again, inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, lower. Adding Uddiyana Bandha. So we'll inhale to lift halfway. Stay in the lift, exhale. Hold the breath out, tuck the chin, fold in, scoop the belly up. Release the belly. Inhale, lift halfway. Stay for the exhale. Hold the breath out and fold. Release the belly, then inhale and lift. Two more like this. Exhale. Keep going. When you're finished, exhale, soften the knees, drape over the legs one more time. We're going to go through one more round if you're comfortable with that. Otherwise, just relax. Nothing to prove. If you want a little bit more, if what we just did was challenging enough, stick with it. If you want a little bit more, the sequence adjusts slightly. I'm going to turn this way because I feel like I'm talking out of the back of my head. We will inhale to lift, exhale to fold. At this point, we will then hold the breath out, draw the belly toward the backbone, and lift halfway while we're holding the breath out. Release the belly and then inhale. And again on exhale, fold. Hold the breath out and lift halfway. Release the belly and then inhale. So if you want to try that, give yourself 3 or 4 rounds or just one. If you just want to try it, that's perfectly fine as well. If you want to rest, find any position that feels restful. We'll make our way to the ground shortly. When you're finished, soften. Come into a variation of Malasana. So this can be wide kneed or a little bit closer together, whatever feels better in your body. And just use this to ground for a moment. Then go ahead and take a seat. Find Baddha Konasana. Just staying upright for now, getting a bit of a stretch through the inner thighs and also softening through the pelvic floor. Come back to the breath in case you lost it somewhere along the line. About 3 more breaths here. From here, we're going to set the feet down about mat width apart. Take an inhale with a long spine. On an exhale, let both knees roll down to the right, and then keep following in that direction, twisting the torso to the right. From here, you can stay relatively upright, or I kind of like to rotate both arms internally and then fold in a little bit. And really feel what's happening through the abdomen, through the spine, and through the pelvis. About 4, maybe 5 breaths here. On the next inhale, begin to gently lift. Bring the knees back up through the center. And on exhale, just stretch the legs out in front of you. We're going to stay in Dandasana for a moment. And then move into a little back bend counter pose. Nothing too hectic. Bring the hands behind you, fingertips pointing in toward your tush. Push down through the hands, roll onto the soles of the feet, and lift the pelvis. Try not to let the back of the head drop, so keep the back of the neck long. Breathe for 3. If you want to bend the knees instead, that's fine. 2, 1. Slowly lower. Again, just upright in Dandasana for a moment. And then we'll twist to the other side. So rebending the knees, feet about mat width apart. Inhaling here to find a little bit more length in the spine. And on exhale, lower the knees to the left. Keep twisting in that direction. Again, feel free to stay upright, or for this sort of modern dance approach, rotate the arms internally. Palms can come down if that's available. And then really feel into what's happening through the abdomen, through the pelvis, through the spine. Breathe 4 or 5 times. When you're ready, inhale, gently lift up and out of that. Let's straighten the legs out in front of you. Pull you around. Come to Dandasana. And then we'll come into Paschimottanasana, just a simple forward fold as a counter. Inhale to find a little bit more lift in the spine. Scoot your flesh out from under you. Try to root down through the sits bones. Find a little bit of internal rotation through the thighs. And on an exhale, huge. Okay, so again, think about creating length from crown to tail with inhale. And on exhale, as though you're pressing the spine further into the body toward the sternum. Stay with that. If you want to hold on to a strap or toes or feet or outer edges of the mat to help with that spine movement coming into the body a bit more, you're welcome to. So this is at least as much spinal extension at the moment as it is forward fold. Three more breaths. And then soften for a few breaths, because you deserve it. Daring to rise on an inhale, flatten the back first and then lift up. Exhale, drop the shoulders, lengthen the spine. Feel the way the sits bones and even the pelvic floor are rooting into the earth here. Drop into what is real. Right here, right now. Twist, nothing fancy. You can just cross the legs or come into Matsyendrasana, whatever feels best to you, and just take a moment, a breath or two to each side. We already did a fairly deep twist, so no need to overdo anything. And the knees switch up toward the top of the mat. We're getting ready to lie down. Enjoy another inhale for some lift. And exhale, roll yourself onto the floor. When you're on the mat, keep the knees bent for a moment. Draw the heels a little bit closer to your seat. And just acclimate to this new relationship with gravity. Notice if there's tension in the body that is keeping you afloat, if you will. And let that tension, that holding go. Allow yourself to become heavy and begin to sink. Slide your shoulder blades a little further down your back. Press down through both feet. We're preparing for dynamic bridge. Keep the thighs parallel to one another and press down through all four corners of the feet. Inhale, lift the pelvis and extend the arms alongside the ears. And exhale, simply lower. Three more times on your own. When you're up, stay up, and on exhale, bend the elbows out to the side just to help support your neck. Keep the back of the neck lifted slightly by pressing the back of the head more firmly into the mat. And then squeeze and release the thighs a few times. See if you can do that while releasing the grip in the glutes. Good. Inhale, lift once more. Exhale, lower. And then just about a half an inch or a couple of centimeters, lift the pelvis and then drop it nice and heavy back down onto the earth. Got any pelvic imbalances, asymmetries, this can help to bring you a little bit back into symmetry. It won't do all of the work, but it helps. Good. Then let's go ahead and draw your thighs in. And just rock the knees away and in toward the belly a few times. And then from side to side. And you don't have to go very far. This is more about pressing into the back side of the hips, where the femur meets the pelvis, and loosening up a little bit in case you're holding tension that is keeping you out of alignment. You might need to loosen up a little bit to come back into a healthier, more balanced alignment. And then start to take your knees around in circles, as though the sacrum is like a round dinner plate, and you're trying to press down around the edges. Now release the hold on the knees and move in the opposite direction and rely on your musculature to manage these rotations for you. Circles might get a little bit bigger, but don't go wild. Or if you do go wild, do it with intention. Back through to the center. From here, let's bring the feet onto the mat, mat width apart. This is different than what I normally do with you. We are not windshield wipering the knees in the traditional sense. This is a sandy stretch, and I love it. Inhale with both knees up. On exhale, keep your right knee as it is and start to lower your left knee in toward the center. So your left knee is going to come toward your right ankle. And once it's lowered, then your right knee is also going to come in toward the center a little bit. So both knees, like your knock knee. Your left knee is almost all the way down to the ground. And then your right knee is rotating internally as well. That double internal rotation is going to help to create more spaciousness through the sacrum. Breathe here. Next inhale, come back to neutral. Stay in neutral for the exhale. And then we'll take it to the other side. Inhaling. On the exhale, the left knee stays as is. Right knee is going to rotate inward. Once the right knee has found a place that it's relatively happy, then the left knee will start to rotate internally as well. Try to keep the pelvis on the ground. So you might notice as the right knee rolls in that the right hip and whole right side of the pelvis wants to lift. Try to keep that from happening. Breathe. And inhale, release. On exhale, just find Shavasana for a moment. From here, feel free to guide yourself through a final twist or not. If you're not twisting, then just hang out in Shavasana a moment longer. And then we'll all come into one final posture here, more or less a forward fold. Keep the sacrum as flat on the ground as possible, and then also use the abdomen to press your lower rib cage down and your lower back. Flex the feet and try to stand on the ceiling. Keep the shoulder blades on the ground and reach the arms as high as you can without lifting the shoulders. Root down through the shoulders and through the pelvis. Anchor down through the spine. And simultaneously reach up out of the body with your limbs. Breathe here for 3. 2. 1 more inhale. On exhale, soften and curl into a little ball, maybe lifting your head and drawing your chin in. Take another inhale in this little ball. And finally release to Shavasana. Set yourself up for comfort and get to stay a moment. Soft part of the torso between the ribs and the pelvis. And release any and all unnecessary tension and holding. Experience 5 slow, smooth, steady diaphragmatic breaths. After the 5 diaphragmatic breaths, then bring your awareness to the various points in the back side of the body that are in direct contact with the earth. Each inhale, just bring your awareness to those points. And with each exhale, feel as though there are little tendrils that are reaching down, rooting into the earth, both for nourishment and for support. Inhale, drop awareness to these points of contact. Exhale, soften and release, reach these little tendrils, little hair-like roots into the earth, both for nourishment and support. Notice as you do that the whole body becomes softer and heavier, more deeply connected, perhaps accompanied by a sense of relief, release, maybe even a touch of trustful surrender. Two or three more breaths, conscious of this process, and then release any sense of doing, any identity as doer. And invite the self to simply be. Gradually return to the breath. And having received the nourishment and the steadiness, the support that was needed, release those little tendrils, those hair-like roots. Leave them in the earth. When you feel ready, invite some simple movement back to the body. Feel free to bend the knees, roll to one side, curl into your fetal position, and enjoy a few more breaths. Rest to a comfortable seat for your meditation. Meditation will be short and sweet today. As you find your seat, notice if perhaps there is a greater sense of steadiness. Drop awareness into the belly. Sense the breath. Drop awareness a bit further down into Muladhara chakra. Perhaps repeating the name of the chakra a few times internally to help navigate to that subtle space. If you're familiar with Apanavayu Mudra, you're welcome to employ that here. If you're curious, with the palms facing up and the backs of the hands resting on the knees or the thighs, keep the index fingers and pinky fingers extended and pointing down toward the earth. Curl the middle and ring fingers in together, bringing the tips of those fingers together with the tips of the thumbs. This mudra simply helps to direct prana downward and outward. And in this case, we're utilizing that flow of prana to help us root even more deeply into the earth and to anchor to that which is real, physically and metaphysically. Smooth, steady breath. Soft and spacious through the belly so the diaphragm can do what it does. Spine is long, but there is a solid sense of downward movement. connecting to that part of the self that is steady. That is tender and yet unshakable. Manages to stay rooted even when the wind and the weather blow it about. Connecting to that part of the self which is eternal. Defying mudra. Enjoy one more breath with awareness rooted at Muladhara chakra. And then staying rooted with inhale, invite prana and awareness to ascend the length of the spine to the crown of the head. Exhale to heart center. Inhale Muladhara to Sahasrara. Exhale Anahata. Once more. Inhale from Muladhara to Sahasrara. Exhale Anahata. Stay at Anahata. Enjoy a few more breaths. Together at the heart, bow the head. Acquired attributes, recognizing and honoring the innate. Speak, repeat. One of the favored mantras of our tradition. You'll know it when you hear it 3 times through. Asatoma, Sadgamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotir Gamaya, Mrityurma, Amritam Gamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Place the hands wherever you'd like for another breath or two. And gracefully transition back to the outside world. Presence is that appreciated. If you want to spend a little bit of time with your journal, then you can sit with the question, what is real? What is real that is accessible to you, that you can anchor to? Let it be simple. What is real that is accessible, that you can anchor to? All right. I love you. And I'll see you so soon. And now I will go make dinner. One more for the road. Ciao, ciao.